program leader, my fellow spokesperson, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, hi. Now Mwanjiko, I'm on speech lesson 2, speak with purpose, and my topic is the story you tell. My purpose statement is reputation. Before I continue, I would like to define the word reputation. And from Oxford Dictionary, the word reputation means the beliefs or opinion that are generally held about someone or something. And the second meaning is a widespread belief that someone has particular characters. From those two meanings, we have the same word belief coming up. So the word belief means an acceptance of something exists or is true, especially one without proof. So sometimes we find ourselves believing something without even proof. That is what is called beliefs. Just as we have been learning from the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, the character book unit, that there are many advantages of maintaining a positive moral character, and one is your reputation. Your reputation is developed over time. But does it really mean because you're maintaining a positive moral character that people's opinion or beliefs about you will change? No. For a reputation to be developed, there has to be 3 parties involved. The first one is the one whose reputation is being developed for. The second one is the one spreading the beliefs of the opinion. And the third party is those who are receiving the information. Particularly, I will focus on the storyteller. I know all of us here has not once but many times said something about someone, whether positive or negative. Sindio, sisi wote tumepeana stories, whether you're giving a negative or a positive story. We are all a storyteller. There are many reasons one will spread a positive information about someone, and the first reason is admiration. If you admire someone, take a minute to ponder on this. What if you are told to write a story about someone you really admire? Would that story be captivating? It would be a very sweet story. It would even make the other person reading the story admire the person you are writing about. And the second example is when a person has a positive character, e.g., a person is trustworthy and responsible. Word can spread that that person can be very dependable. Similarly, there are so many reasons why one would spread a negative story about someone. My first example is envy. So what is envy? It is a feeling of discontent or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possession, qualities, or achievements. And sometimes many people find themselves in this situation where someone has something you don't have, or you are attracted to it somehow and you can't have it. Hapo ndo unapata mtu akisema, oh, sasa anajilinga juu ako na gari. Kwani nani ezipata just because you don't have and you are envious about that person. And maybe that person hata ajilingi, but it is that feeling of envy that is in you. The second example is being dishonest can make people see one as a destroyer or untrustworthy. So if you're practicing negative character traits, people will see you as you are. And the word will spread you are someone who is not honest, who is destroyer, who is untrustworthy. We are all in the learning process and we should keep that in mind. Just because one is honest doesn't mean they are responsible. respectful, or have self-control. We are all practicing to keep a positive character, and we all make mistakes and have weaknesses. But does that mean because you have a weakness, one should base their opinion on beliefs about you upon that weakness? There is a saying that goes, never judge a book by its cover. But how else will you know what's in it? I have a story. The story was about a king, and this king had disabilities. He was injured when they were on battle, and his one leg was not functioning, and his eye was hurt, one eye, so he couldn't see with the one eye. He used the other eye. So the king had this character that people were seeing him as weak, and that he made a decision to be very ruthless. First of all, he hated people who were very late. If he could see you late or doing things wrong, you would get punished. But the king wanted a portrait to be made of him. He always desired to have a portrait of him. So all the painters who were known for that job came, and when they saw the king and were told about his story, how he is ruthless, he doesn't like mistakes, they all feared to paint a portrait of him. But there came a very kind and humble man. That man wasn't known to many people. He wasn't popular, and the way he was dressed, it was very... he didn't dress really well. So people judged him and asked him, do you have that courage to face the king and tell him that you can make a portrait of him? And he said, don't judge me, you don't know me. So the king agreed for him to make the portrait. And he was really slow. The king became annoyed and was just like, what? Who is this person you brought to me? But the man continued telling the king, be patient. So when the portrait was done, it was a very beautiful portrait. The painter had painted the king kneeling with one knee, the leg that was injured, the leg that was not functioning, he was kneeling with it, and the eye which could not see, he had crossed it. He had a bow and an arrow, and he was hunting. He was hunting a gazelle. And at the background of the portrait, the painter had painted people cooking for poor people, the gazelle that the king was hunting. And after the king saw this portrait, he became very humbled and realized that he has not been kind as the portrait is saying. So he got motivated and encouraged to change his character by the portrait to become as kind as the portrait says he is kind. And for many generations, people came to know him as a kind person. When we tell a story, we can build. Our story can build, our stories can break. The portrait told a beautiful story about the king for generations, and that gave him courage to change. Will our story give others courage to change? Will our stories build or break others? You have the ability to tell a beautiful story. You can encourage others to change by the picture you are putting together about them. In conclusion, be a storyteller whose word can put pieces together. A storyteller whose wonderful story can inspire. And I'll turn it back to my evaluator.